Welcome to another edition of Agency Scaling Secrets. I'm Solomon Timothy. Today's question is there a formula for building a scalable agency? And the answer is yes. Let's dive in. So many agency owners are so ready to scale it. They're always telling me, look, Solomon, I'm ready to go. I have appointment setters. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I would say every single day, the amount of interest in scaling is tremendously bigger than actually getting all the things ready before you can scale something. We're in the business of agency scaling, so I understand exactly what the outcome every agency owner is looking for. But I believe there is a way to get there, and doing anything before that, you're actually wasting a lot of time, energy, perhaps money that could be saved in building something. So I want to talk a little bit about what precedes the agency scaling part. This comes from my background in actually helping tech startups get their first 100 users or get their first 10 customers. I work as a mentor to helping a lot of tech companies that are pre-revenue. They're just ideation mode and they're creating products, software, tools, different use cases for different industries, and then they're trying to innovate in a space maybe that needs some innovation, right? So before you can scale that app, before you can spend tens and thousands of dollars on ads, you really got to prove the product. You really got to make sure there's a product market fit and people are happy with the product. Maybe you got to figure out your prices, right? Maybe you got to figure out the value prop, the differentiation. And I'm going to take that knowledge and kind of help you understand what has to happen before you can scale your agency. And a lot of times, this is going to save you a ton of time and energy later. The first step that I would work on before I spend a lot of time and energy promoting the agency is the building of the agency, the components, right? What is the component that we're going to be delivering to the customers? What are we going to do? So this is the products. This is the who are we serving? Who are we going to be? It's the positioning. How are we going to be different? What are we going to do, right? What is that thing that we're going to be? Is it a lead generation agency? Are we going to become an e-commerce? Are we about building better customer relationship? Whatever that might be, I really want to make sure that we work on the building part. So this is who is that ideal customer market. I talk a lot about niche selection. It's about the product and the bundles. It's everything that I want to scale. So think of yourself as a tech software company. You're creating a product for someone, right? I always say be something for someone. So what is that? And I always talk about being a specialist, not a generalist. So we really got to carve out our niche and we got to create our products and bundles. And then we can work on moving it to the next step. We spend a lot of time and energy working with our agency partners to really figure out the why. Who are we helping and why are we doing it? How are we going to serve them, better than our competition? And this is what I mean by the build it part. This doesn't need to take months and years, but we have to have a product that we can sell and scale before we can spend a whole bunch of money on ads and everything else. This is what I call the build it part. Now the second part is the promotion, right? So this is where we'll need to build a sales funnel. Could be a marketing funnel. Whatever that sales process is, what do we want people to do, right? We want to make sure that they're going to have a call with one of our consultants, or we're going to have them go through this 3-step process to identify if they're a good fit. Before you can go ahead and hire a bunch of salespeople to talk to customers, we need to create demand for the solution that we're generating or we're creating to go to the market with. This is where the funnel comes. This is where Facebook ads comes. This is where any type of advertising that you're going to be doing comes in the middle part. This is where I say, hey, we've figured out a product. We've given it to a couple of customers. They're very happy with it. Now let's spend money promoting it, right? Let's let the world know that we exist, create awareness, generate email list. There's a million different things that you can certainly be doing to promote it, and it could be organic, it could be paid. Definitely paid if you're serious about scaling. And then now you've seen how many leads can be generated. What is that value prop that they're looking for? What are the challenges that they're saying? So we can start refining the product and the promotion of the product, right? So once this part is done, this is where we go to scale, right? So this is where we gotta go hire salespeople. This is where we gotta hire people to take appointments or qualify opportunities or whatever that thing that you're trying to do in the sales process, this is where the scaling happens. All right, so this is where you take what you've done and you multiply by 10. What if we did 10 times? What if we did 100 times? Whatever that might be, you're like, hey, we're spending $1,000. Let's see what 10K would be like. Are we spending 10K? Then let's spend 100K. This is exactly the mindset of a VC. They are not going to give you millions and millions of dollars until you've proven that this product works and this product is actually what the market needs. And before you can go ask for millions and millions of dollars, you're working on the business, building something based on what you're seeing, what the market is talking about. Many times I talk to agency owners, they already have a niche. They're like, hey, I'm going after the chiropractor. I'm going after this. I'm going after e-commerce companies of this. Or I talk to high ticket coaches. That's my niche. I'm like, awesome. You've already gotten that part. You saved a lot of time. You're way closer to scaling than you think. And so then once we have that, let's define what that product offering is. Let's really make sure that you've streamlined all of the things that you need to do, figured out your process. You have a really good idea of what is going to happen. As soon as you talk to a prospect, then you're ready to go ahead and start building out your funnels, your VSL, whatever you think you need in order to have qualified booked appointments on the calendar. This is where you can actually invest time and say, hey, this is who I'm going after. This is my value prop. Here's my differentiation. Here's what I'm going to deliver. Here's my irresistible offer. And I'm ready to have people do sales, right? I'm ready to have people that can take my calls. I'll give them a list of objections based on the ones that I've handled. And based on that, they can start beginning to enroll customers into my agency. Many times we're using closing, like we're going to have to pressure somebody into buying something. It shouldn't be that way. When you're taking calls from a funnel that actually speaks to the audience's pain, it actually speaks to them like on a personal level, saying, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Here's the solution. Here are some customers that have gotten great success. You're not having to sell them anything because they've already identified themselves as someone that needs that, and they read your content, seen your success. They already know you're the expert. You can fix their problem. And now all you really have to do is prescribe the unique solution that you're going to go do it for them. So in that case, you're not really having to reinvent the wheel. You're not having to figure out who your niche is. You're not having to figure out what their pain is. You've already done the work in the building part. Think about that. The building part leads to the promotion part, where you can actually consistently refine that funnel, add more success stories, or change the actual deliverables that you're providing, and so that they can resonate more with their needs, right? So once you have that, you should have no problem having more and more booked appointments on the calendar, because typically I don't like to have our partners chase leads, right? Filling out a form is great, but they haven't really committed to a time in talking to them. So you want to make sure you do that by even giving them a calendar and scheduling a time, so you'll spend less time chasing leads, more times closing deals, right? So everybody wants to be in the scale side. I get it, and I see the passion, and I know you're going to make more money by investing more time in the beginning, right? So think about that saying, you want to measure twice, cut once. And that's exactly what I'm trying to say here, is that before you start cutting and then cutting again, and then you cut more and say, I hope this really fits, what you're doing is spending a lot of time and energy investing into things that you should have thought a little bit more harder about in the beginning. Now, we've all made mistakes. We're probably going to continue to make mistakes. Now, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about spending more time planning before you spend a whole lot of money on hiring people, appointment setter, and not having any booked appointments, or not spending enough money on Facebook ads or generating leads. You have salespeople that are going to be wasting time and they're on payroll. I hope you've gotten some value out of this. I get these questions every single day, and I'm going to continue to answer them as long as possible. All I want you to do is continue to ask questions. So I hope you've gotten some value out of this, because every single day I get asked by agency owners, hey, I'm ready to scale, I'm ready to rock and roll, but what I really want you to think about is like that person that is building a mobile app, right? If you don't even know what you're building or who you're building it for, or you don't even have the UI, UX of the product, how can we scale something? So I want you to think a little bit more. It doesn't take years to figure this stuff out. It's just being really, really clear, having clarity on what you're going to be delivering and who are you serving, right? This doesn't mean that you can't change this, but we don't want to be all things to all people. I always say that that is a sure way to fail. So I hope this video has been helpful. If it has been, click that thumbs up button, leave me a comment. Tell me your thoughts about the process and the concept that I put behind scaling agencies. And if there's any parallels that you can share and on how I shared about the software development teams that I work with, I would love to hear and maybe even have a follow-up. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.